Something just happened that affects over 72 million Americans, and most of them have absolutely no idea it occurred. On March 7, 2026, the Social Security Administration quietly flipped a switch, and in doing so, launched the single most significant structural overhaul to Social Security operations in the last several decades. We're not talking about a change in your benefit amount. We're not talking about new eligibility rules. We're talking about the entire machine, the infrastructure behind how Social Security actually serves you, being rebuilt from the ground up. And here's the thing nobody is telling you clearly. This change could speed up your claim dramatically, or it could cause significant delays, depending entirely on your situation and how prepared you are. So in the next 25 minutes, I'm going to walk you through exactly what changed, why it changed, what the experts are saying, and most importantly, what you need to do right now to protect your benefits and your timeline. Stay with me to the end, because I'm also going to tell you the one thing most people are completely overlooking about this overhaul, and it could cost you weeks of unnecessary waiting if you miss it. Before I explain what changed, you need to understand why it had to change, because when you see the numbers, you'll realize this wasn't optional. This was an emergency response. The numbers that made this inevitable, 72.5 million Americans are currently receiving some form of Social Security benefit. 63 million Americans are on Medicare, all administered through the SSA. 7.5 million people receive SSI, Supplemental Security Income. 10,000 people turn 65 every single day in the United States, and will continue to do so until 2030. 10,000 new retirement claims are filed every single day. 500,000 new disability claims are filed every single month. That's 6 million per year. Let that sink in. We're talking about a system that every single day has to absorb 10,000 new retirement applications, process hundreds of thousands of active disability cases, issue payments for over 72 million people, and answer questions from millions more. And here's what makes it worse. The SSA has been losing staff at an alarming rate. In just the past few years, the agency lost over 7,000 employees, roughly 10 to 12% of its total workforce. Retirements, COVID-era departures, voluntary buyouts, the headcount simply collapsed. So you have a system where demand is exploding, fueled by the largest retirement wave in American history, and the workforce is shrinking. Something had to give. And it did. Wait times in high-demand states like Texas, Florida, and Arizona stretched to 6, 8, sometimes more than 10 weeks just to get a Medicare card processed. Calls to the SSA 1-800 number. Industry observers were telling people, budget an hour to 2 hours for hold time. And even then, 1 out of every 3 calls gets dropped before you ever speak to a human being. 1 out of every 3 calls dropped after waiting an hour. That is not a system functioning at capacity. That is a system in crisis. To understand why the March 7th changes are so significant, you have to understand the old system, because it was built for a very different era. The Social Security Administration operates through a network of 1,230 local field offices scattered across the country. And for decades, each of those offices essentially functioned as its own independent operation. Think about what that means in practice. If you live in Tampa, Florida, your application goes to the Tampa field office. That office schedules your appointment. That office processes your claim. That office manages its own backlog. And if Tampa is overwhelmed, which it absolutely was, there was no efficient mechanism to send your case somewhere that had capacity. Meanwhile, a field office in, say, rural Montana might have staff sitting with relatively light caseloads, perfectly capable of processing claims, but with no real pipeline connecting them to the overflow coming out of major retirement hubs. The 3 core failures of the old system. Failure number 1, geographic inequality. Your wait time had nothing to do with the complexity of your case and everything to do with your zip code. Someone in a low-demand area might get processed in 2 or 3 weeks. Someone in South Florida might wait 3 months. Failure number 2, manual appointment scheduling. In 2026, SSA staff were still scheduling appointments manually, looking at calendars, entering information by hand. At a system processing millions of interactions per year, that's not just inefficient, it's a structural bottleneck. Failure number 3. No skill-based case routing. Complex disability cases require experienced examiners. But under the old system, whoever happened to be at your local office handled your case, regardless of whether they had the expertise your specific situation required. This led to errors, delays, and reprocessing. Andy Cerubus, the SSA's chief of field operations, put it bluntly in an internal memo. He wrote that the old structure, quote, prevents true specialization, limits the impact of technology, and produces backlogs we should not sustain. That memo kicked off the overhaul you're hearing about today. So what exactly launched on March 7th? There are 2 distinct systems, and it's important to understand what each one does, because they solve different problems. System 1. The National Appointment Scheduling Calendar, NASC. The first system is called the National Appointment Scheduling Calendar, or a NASC. This replaces the old local office scheduling model entirely. Here's what it changes for you. Instead of being locked into the availability of your local field office, which might be backed up for weeks, you can now self-schedule online anytime, 24 hours a day. The system will show you the next available appointment across the entire national network. So if you're in Houston, and every Houston area appointment is booked out 6 weeks, the system will connect you with a Social Security representative in, say, Indianapolis or Oregon, whoever has availability. Your case gets processed faster. Their idle capacity gets used. Everyone wins. And this system also integrates AI and chatbot tools to guide users through the scheduling process and answer basic questions before a human representative even gets involved. According to SSA leadership, approximately 90% of calls are now being resolved through automated systems or scheduled callbacks, a dramatic shift from the old call-in and wait model. One important note: to access this system fully, you need a My Social Security account at ssa.gov. I'll come back to this at the end because it's critical. If you don't have one yet, setting one up should be your #1 priority after watching this video. System 2, the National Workload Management System, NWLM. The second system is called the National Workload Management System, or NWLM. This one operates behind the scenes, but it's arguably even more impactful for people with pending or complex cases. Here's what it does. Instead of your case being handled exclusively by your local field office, it now enters a national workflow queue. That queue distributes cases to SSA employees anywhere in the country, based on their skill level, knowledge, and current availability. So if you have a complex disability case that requires an experienced examiner, the system routes it to someone with that specialization, even if that person is in a different state. If your local office is overwhelmed, your case doesn't sit in their queue. It moves to where capacity exists. According to internal SSA documentation, employees are now assigned work based on, quote, skill sets as determined by management, not geography. This is a fundamentally different operating model. Together, these 2 systems essentially transform the SSA from 1,230 independent local operations into one unified national service network. Think of it like going from a system of 1,230 separate local restaurants, each managing their own kitchen, their own wait list, their own staff, to one centralized operation with locations everywhere, all sharing resources in real time. Now let's talk specifically about how these changes affect each type of Social Security benefit, because the impact varies depending on what you're applying for. Retirement benefits. There are currently 57 million Americans receiving Social Security retirement benefits. You can begin taking retirement as early as 62, with full retirement age at 67 for most people watching this. Wait until 70 and you earn 8% delayed retirement credits per year. For retirement applicants, the new systems primarily affect how quickly your initial claim gets processed. With national workload distribution, routine retirement claims that once took 6 to 8 weeks in high-demand areas may now be processed in 2 to 4 weeks. The SSA believes it can cut many processing times by as much as half. Spousal and survivor benefits. Spousal benefits, worth up to 50% of your spouse's full retirement age benefit, and survivor benefits, which approximately 6 million Americans currently receive starting as early as age 60, will now also be processed through the national system. These cases often require identity verification and documentation, divorce decrees, death certificates, marriage records. Under the new model, local offices will still handle these in-person document verifications, but the actual case processing may happen anywhere in the national network. Disability, SSDI and SSI, this is where the stakes are highest and where the new system has the most potential to both help and create problems. There are currently 8 million Americans receiving disability benefits, with 500,000 new disability claims filed every single month. These cases are the most complex. They require medical documentation, specialist review, and state-specific disability determination. Here's the challenge. Disability determinations are handled at the state level through what are called disability determination services. The rules vary by state. The cost of living in Alaska is not the same as in Alabama. The criteria are not identical. And now, your case might be processed by someone in a different state who needs to be fully fluent in your state's specific rules. Kathleen Romig, Director of Social Security and Disability Policy at the Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, has raised this concern directly. She says SSA staff will need the resources to understand the nuances of all 50 states' laws, and that an efficient system for sharing paper documents nationally still needs to be developed. So for disability claimants, expect some initial turbulence. The system will get better. But right now, in early 2026, this is the category where transition disruptions are most likely to occur. Medicare enrollment. 63 million Americans are currently on Medicare. Most people become eligible at 65. Those receiving disability benefits for 24 months are automatically enrolled on the 25th month, which is why you'll meet people in their late 40s or early 50s already on Medicare. Medicare enrollment through SSA will now flow through the NASC and NWLM systems. For most people, this will mean faster processing and less regional disparity in wait times. That's a clear win. I want to pause here and be very direct with you, because I know some of you are watching this and feeling some anxiety. So let me tell you what is absolutely not changing. Your monthly benefit amount is not changing. If you are one of the 72 million people currently receiving Social Security payments, your direct deposit will continue exactly as scheduled. Nothing about these administrative changes touches your check. Your eligibility rules are not changing. The age requirements, the work credit requirements, the disability criteria, none of that is affected by the March 7th overhaul. These are operational changes, not policy changes. The laws governing Social Security and Medicare are not changing. No legislation was passed, no benefits were cut, no eligibility was restricted. Your benefit calculation formula is not changing. How your retirement benefit is calculated based on your earnings history, that's untouched. The local field offices are staying open. There has been some concern, and some misinformation online, suggesting that local offices are being shut down. They are not. Local offices will continue to operate. Their focus will shift toward identity verifications, complex in-person cases, and situations where technology isn't sufficient, including language barriers and accessibility needs. But they're not closing. And your existing SSA.gov digital services remain fully functional. Your My Social Security account, your benefit statements, your earnings history, all of that is intact and will be expanded, not replaced. Now, I want to give you the full picture, because while the stated goals of this overhaul are genuinely positive, there are real, credible concerns being raised by people who know this system deeply, and you deserve to hear them. Kevin Thompson, CEO of 9i Capital Group, told Newsweek, "The people currently taking Social Security do not need new apps to download, login requirements, or chatbot interactions. They need human beings to service them. And any changes will just bring pain for our senior population. Michael Ryan, a financial expert and founder of MichaelRyanMoney.com, warned, "The agency had 49 weeks of productivity gains through May 2025. This overhaul kills that momentum." An actual SSA employee told Federal News Network, "We are used to taking claims only for people in our area. We expect to run into problems." These aren't fringe concerns. These are people with direct knowledge of how the system works, and they're telling us the transition will not be smooth for everyone. The three most likely pain points during this transition period are, first, staff learning a completely new scheduling tool while simultaneously handling their regular workload. Second, staff being assigned cases from states whose rules they're not yet fluent in. And third, the technology itself, chatbots and AI tools that, if not sophisticated enough, will frustrate older users and create more problems than they solve. The honest assessment is this: long-term, this is almost certainly the right direction. But short-term, especially in early to mid-2026, expect some friction. Plan for it. Don't be surprised by it. Okay, you've heard the changes, you've heard the risks. Now let me give you exactly what you should be doing, depending on where you are in the process. Step 1. Create or review your My Social Security account. This is non-negotiable. Go to SSA.gov and set up your My Social Security account if you haven't already. Use login.gov. It's the more streamlined option. You'll need an email address, and you'll create a password. They'll issue you a passkey. Keep those credentials somewhere safe. The entire new scheduling system is built around this account. Without it, you're operating with one hand tied behind your back. Step 2. Review your case status if you have pending claims. If you have an application in progress, whether for retirement, disability, Medicare, or survivor benefits, log in and check the status. Confirm your deadlines. Make sure all required documentation has been submitted. Pending cases will be migrated into the new national system, and any gaps in your file could cause delays during the transition. Step 3. Use digital channels for routine matters. The new system is explicitly designed to push routine interactions online. Checking your benefit amount, updating your address, reviewing your earnings history. Do all of this through your SSA.gov account. Don't call the 1-800 number for things you can handle online. Save that channel for genuinely complex issues. Step 4. For disability claimants, be patient and document everything. If you are filing for SSDI or SSI, understand that your case may be handled by a representative in a different state. That's not a problem, but it means you need to be extra clear and thorough in your documentation. Don't assume anything is obvious. State your situation clearly in writing. And if you receive a request for additional information, respond promptly. Delays on your end compound quickly in a national routing system. Step 5. If you need in-person help. Go. The changes do not eliminate in-person service. If you have a language barrier, an accessibility need, a complex identity verification situation, or a case that genuinely requires a human being looking you in the eye, go to your local field office. It's still there. It's still staffed. Just understand that simple, routine cases will be redirected to digital channels. Step 6. Consider timing your application strategically. Some financial experts are suggesting that if you're not under time pressure, you might consider waiting a few months, allowing the new systems to stabilize before you file. If you're filing in the spring of 2026, be prepared for potential short-term slowdowns. Have a financial cushion if possible. The system will smooth out, but the early weeks of any major transition carry the most risk. Here's what I want you to take away from everything we've covered today. The Social Security system you have relied on, or are about to rely on, has just undergone its most significant structural change in a generation. That is not a reason to panic. Your benefits are safe, the laws haven't changed, the money is still coming. What has changed is the machinery. And like any major upgrade, there will be a break-in period. There will be bumps. There will be people who fall through the cracks during the transition if they're not prepared. But if you watch a video like this one, if you create your My Social Security account, if you understand what the new system expects of you, you are not going to be one of those people. 72 million Americans depend on this system. You are one of them, and you deserve to navigate it with confidence, not confusion. If you found this valuable, share it with someone you know who is approaching retirement, applying for disability, or navigating Medicare. This is the kind of information that actually changes outcomes for real people. And drop a comment below. I want to hear where you are in the process and what questions you still have. I read every single one. I'll see you in the next video.